Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's Best Practices and Tips for Using Hubdoc webinar. I am Dylan, I'm in the success team here at Hubdoc, and we'll be running through a deep dive into the product today, giving you some tips and tricks that hopefully you didn't know before, and also running through some common issues that you may come across and how to get around those. So this webinar is for you, so please, in the GoToWebinar control panel, there is a questions box. So if you put your questions there, we will get those answered either in the questions box itself and get back to you directly if it's something that's probably just related to you, or if it is something that will add value to everybody on the call, then we will raise that on the webinar itself. So please do that, and if there is anything else, just let us know in the chat. So if you can't hear me or whatever the case may be, just put that in the chat as well. Fantastic. So let's get started. We will start on the organizations page here. Now be aware we do connect with Zero HQ now, so you can set that up in the settings tab. So you can see there on the settings that there is the ability to add Zero HQ there. And then what Hubdoc will do once that's connected is it will send you notifications based on the rules you set up. So if there's a document that's been sitting in review for say 5 days, then we'll let you know in the notifications in Zero HQ. So what we will do is we will go through what a review tab means and what a document being in reviewed means. But for the minute, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a brief overview of what is on this organizations page. So in the top right, you will see the ability to add a client account there. So you can click that. And then what you will do is you'll be brought to your billing page the first time. So it's not just like this. It does go to a billing page on your first client. And you'll be prompted to input your client's email address as well as your billing information there. Now, once you have done that, I recommend coming back to the organizations page, clicking on the client account that has been created, and going into their profile tab, and we'll go through that later on in the webinar. But just remember that you will need to go into the profile tab there to add their key pieces of information. Going forward, you won't need to do that because when you click the Add a Client Account button, you will put the key information in this dialog box here. Now, when you first add a client, the email address that you put in here will be sent an email. So if you put in your client's email address there, then it will be sent. They will be sent an email with a link to set up their Hubdoc account and to input their password and set it all up, and they'll be able to log in that way. Now, if you wanted to set up an account on behalf of your client, get it all set up, contact us here at Hubdoc and make sure that it's all running smoothly before you added your client, then you can certainly do that either by entering a fake email address in that email field there, or you can enter an email alias. So the email alias is if you're using Gmail, so say my dylanb@gmail.com. So say you got a Gmail-based email, then what you can do is before the @ sign, you can click plus and then input your client name. So say it's client1, you could input plus client1. Now Hubdoc is going to recognize this as a separate email account, a separate email address, and allow you to set up the account because it is unique. But all the notifications associated with that account will be sent to just dylanb@gmail.com. Now this works for any email that is based in Gmail, regardless of whether it finishes in Gmail or not. So my email finishes in Hubdoc, but we use Gmail as a base. So it would work for that as well. You can also set up aliases with Outlook, and if you needed any information on whether you can set an alias up or not, just send us a note at support@hubdoc.com.au and we can reply to that. You can also put it in the chat box if you want us to send that through to you as well as a question, and we can reach out to you after this call. Fantastic. So that's adding a client. Now, adding a user. So a user is an employee. So click that Manage Users button if you have an employee you want to add. We will give them a free account as well. All you need to do is input their email address in there and click Add New User. Again, it will send them an email address. It will send them an email with a link in it, to set up their account as well. And then from there, the admin, so yourself with the admin account, can then go ahead and grant access to all of the clients or just a select subset, so they can go through and pick which one is appropriate. If you did give them access to a client that they no longer need to see, then you can revoke that access there as well. You can also delete that user from the page. So say the employee ever left your firm, you could delete that user from this page as well. Fantastic. So going back to the organizations page, your account will be at the top and then your client accounts will be underneath. We do give you some information in regards to your client accounts here. The first one being how many documents are in review. So this is how many documents you need to look at. Again, we're going to go through the review process a little bit later on. And so you can see here, Camp Krusty has 4 documents to review, which is the most out of any of the clients. So I might want to toggle into that client there and get those across to 0 or file them away as needed. In the status column, I don't have any statuses showing, but there's a couple of statuses that may appear here. They come in the form of 2 icons. The first one being a cloud with an exclamation mark in it. That means one of your downstream cloud integrations need your attention, whether that's your cloud accounting platform like Xero or QBO, or your cloud storage platform like Dropbox or Google Drive. So if any of those accounts get disconnected, we are going to notify you here. If you wanted that to be disconnected, you can dismiss it. If you didn't want it disconnected, you can click fix it and then input the credentials there to re-add it. The other status that may appear here is a triangle with an exclamation mark, and that means one of your automated connections needs your attention. So say your client changes their login credentials for their CommBank account, then they would need to update them here in Hubdoc. And if they haven't updated them in Hubdoc, we will flag that here by putting a triangle with an exclamation mark there. And then finally, the staff column. So the staff column allows you to manage your staff from this page as well. So you can click on, say, that too, and you can see the 2 users. So 2 of my employees have access to that account, and you can revoke that access there. Or you can add another user. So all of my users that I've added have been added to this one. But if I wanted to add a user, I could do it from there as well. So nice and easy. Perfect. So now we'll toggle into a client account and we'll go into the Hubdoc dashboard. So in my client Sunshine Shipping, this is what we call the Hubdoc dashboard. Now, this is going to be exactly the same for you and your client because we do want to be that collaboration tool between you both. Now, you will have the ability over here to toggle back to the organizations page, your free VIP account, or your client accounts there as well. Now, your client won't have the ability to do that. They'll just be brought into their Hubdoc dashboard. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do when you do this is you're going to want to add an account. So when you come in, click up here, add account, and these are our automated connections. So these are the connections that save you having to chase your clients for documents, which we know takes about 30% of your time. So you can see our list of primary connections here. We do have over 200 we connect to in Australia. So if it's not listed in our most popular, you can go up here and search for it. So for example, you could search for Bunnings there, and then you could add the account that way. Fantastic. So the first time you do it, you will need to click on one of the, or search it, input the login credentials there. So if you have read-only access to your client's accounts, you can do it on their behalf and set it up for them. If you don't, then your client would just need to come in here, input their credentials one time, and click Add Account. Now, if your clients are worried about security, we do have bank level security. So just be aware that security is our #1 priority and that we are secure. We use 256-bit salted hash encryption. So coming in, you will see all of the statements from the portal being brought in. So this is the last 12 months worth of CommBank statements coming into Hubdoc, and we automatically file these for you. So you can see that that folder has just been created and those documents are coming into that folder automatically. Now, we also check every single night. So as soon as a new statement becomes available on the portal, we will fetch it here in Hubdoc. Now, if you've got an account, so you can see there that there are multiple sub-accounts with this CommBank connection. Now, if there are sub-accounts that are personal related, so sometimes your clients will have their business accounts and personal accounts all under the one login, then you'll want to stop fetching those. So to do that, you would go up here to Add Account, go to Hide Accounts, and you'll see there that the CommBank statements are listed there and the sub-accounts are listed there. So say for the account ended 8390, I wanted to stop fetching that. So I no longer, that was personal related. I don't want Hubdoc to see it. I don't want my advisor to see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and toggle stop fetching. So that means the nightly check that we do will no longer check that account. As you can see though, 8390 is still available here in the folders. So what you need to do is you either need to click on the arrow there and click delete folder, or just drag it into the trash, and then it will say, do you want to delete these? You click OK. And then from there, just make sure you empty your trash, and that will wipe those from the server. So that's how you go about hiding personal accounts from the banking connections. And then for other connections, so say something like Telstra, for example, we are going to extract the key information from that for you. The reason we don't do it for the bank statements is because you've got the bank feed set up in Xero, you've got the transactional data over there. So what we're doing is we're speeding up that monthly reconciliation, and also audit proofing your clients and having those bank statements for compliance purposes automatically without you having to chase them for them. Now with this Telstra bill, like I said, we do extract the information from that for you, and then we can go ahead and code and create transactions in Xero using these automatically fetched invoices. So we're going to go through that a little bit later on in the webinar. But for now, what I want to do is I do want to run through the processing tab. My apologies. I do want to run through our ability to manually upload documents. So to manually upload a document, click on the Add Receipt button, and that will show you the three options that you have to upload a document. So you've got the mobile app, which I'm going to demonstrate in just a moment. You've got the email address that you can send documents into, and this can be changed, and I'll walk through that a little bit later on. And then finally, you've got the drag and drop from your computer. So if you have any files stored on your computer, you can drag and drop those there. So like I said, we are going to go through using the mobile app. So I'm just going to walk you through that process now from my end. So I've opened the mobile app. I've clicked on the little camera button in the mobile app, and that's brought me to my camera. So once that has loaded, my mobile app's going a little bit slower today, unfortunately. So once that's loaded, what I can then do is take a photo of my receipt. So I have a Camera House receipt here that I've just taken a photo of. I'm going to use that photo, and then it's going to come into Hubdoc. So you're going to see it's going to come into Hubdoc in just a few moments. And then once it is available in Hubdoc, you can see that's come in there. From the mobile app, I can actually add a tag as well. So this is one of my expenses. So I'm going to add a tag there that says Dylan's expenses, and then close. And then that tag will be added to it. So if I refresh this page now, what you should see is that that expense will now be located in Dylan's expenses. So you can see that there. Dylan's expenses now has a tag, and that document is within that. So tags I'll go through in a moment, but it's a nice easy way to group documents that have been brought into Hubdoc that aren't by vendor name. So you can see here this document. We've already given you a preview of the document. So we do that with all the documents that come in, whether they've been processed or not. So what we do is we bring in a preview, and it comes into the processing tab. The way you know it's processing is because of this blue clock here. So if you go to the processing tab, you will see that that document is sitting in there. And what it will do is it will stay there for between 10 and 24 hours until we've extracted the information from that for you. So it is an overnight process. So just leave it overnight, and once it has been extracted, it's going to come across to review. Once it's in review, you'll see that the vendor name, the date, the total amount have all been extracted. And then the blue clock's replaced with this orange icon with an exclamation mark. So this is what we mean by review. So review is documents that have been extracted and are ready for you to publish across to Xero, or they're new documents that have been fetched from an online portal. So say like this month's Telstra bill, for example, or this month's AGL bill. So those documents are going to come, they're going to sit in review, and they're going to stay there until you've published those across to Xero. Or if you wanted to just file those away, you would have to file those away as well. So that is why review is so important. It's like your inbox. So whenever you come into Hubdoc, on the review tab in the organizations page, so where you saw those numbers there of how many documents are in review, basically think of that as how many documents are in your inbox that you need to do something with. Coming into Hubdoc, go to the review tab and you'll see the documents you need to publish across there. Now, if anything is too blurry, or if it's a receipt that's not if it's a document that's not a financial document, say it's a client contract, it'll come into the failed tab with a circle with a red cross through it. Now, if it comes into the failed tab, you can still code that across, but we're not going to extract the information from it because we were unable to. So if it fails our OCR process, that's why it's going to end up in failed. If it also fails to publish across to 0 for whatever reason, we're going to put it in failed as well and flag it there. So there's 2 reasons why it would come into failed. Now, once you've published across your documents to 0 or archived them away, then they're going to end up in the archive tab with a green tick next to it. So that's the document flow. So going back to the start, just as a rehash, you can see here I've got the 3 different, I don't have a failed icon, but I do have the 3 different types of icons here. So in the all tab is everything. So you can see that there's a document in processing there. There's my archive documents with the tick there. And there's the document in review there with the orange exclamation mark. Now, if it's currently going through our OCR process, then it will be in the processing tab. Once it's done processing, it's going to come across to review. Once it's in review and you publish it across to 0, it's going to go to archived. And that's the workflow of the tabs there. So once it is in all, you can see that this is all the documents, but we have filed these away. So in the CommBank, you can see just the CommBank statements there by their sub-account. So the way our folders are structured is under bills and statements and uploads. So bills and statements is everything that comes through from an automated connection. Uploads is anything that's come through the mobile app or the unique intake email address or drag and drop from your computer. So anything that's gone through OCR will be in uploads. Anything that's come automatically will come through bills and statements. Now you can certainly change this and you can set up new folders and new structures there by clicking add new folder. And then I can add a new folder that says work expenses. And under work expenses, I want all of my Apple receipts. So what I can do is I can drag the Apple folder into work expenses. And then you can see there that Apple's going to go under work expenses. I'm going to do that going forward as well. So I'll show you how to do that. You can change it here by dragging and dropping, or you can also set up an account level rule. And we'll go through those account level rules in just a few moments. Now, in terms of documents that you don't want filed by vendor name, so like I said, we do have these folders structured by vendor name. But say I wanted to group my receipts by all of my employees' receipts, so like all of my expenses I want put together. Then what you do is you add a tag. So you can click new tag here and you can add a tag that way. Or you can add a tag at the top here. So clicking add tag, inputting the tag name. So if I wanted to use an existing tag like meals, for example, it's going to automatically populate that for me. Same with office expenses, or if I put in something new, so I know this doesn't really work, but like maybe camera bills, for example, if I do that and click enter, then it's going to actually create a new tag there for camera bills going forward. And they can be selected from the mobile app, and you can also add new tags from the mobile app as well. Fantastic. So that's the tag side, that's the folders, that's the tabs. The last thing we're going to cover in terms of features is our ability to add notes. So when you email a document in, or if you have a document that's already sitting here in Hubdoc and I want to give some more information around it. So I brought this document into Hubdoc and I want to let my employer know what it's for. So I'm going to let them know that it was for a poster for Xerocon. And then you can click save. And then that note will come up here on the document stub and it will be available for my advisor or whoever needs to know to see. Now, if you are sending this in by email, you can automatically add a note. You can do that by, in the body of the email, just write hashtag note, the message you want to be included as a note, and hashtag note. And when you include that in the email and attach the PDF document to it, then it's going to automatically add that as a note to the document. So I hope that's a little handy tip for you as well. Fantastic. Okay, so that is how to get documents into Hubdoc. That's how the structure works once you're in the app. So let's go through how to publish documents across to Xero or to QBO. So we do connect with both Xero and QBO. So to create transactions, what we do is we click on the document we want to publish across, and then we open the edit data bar. So the edit data bar is hidden here next to this banner on the right hand side. So if I click on that, that will actually open the edit data bar there. So the document type is not needed at the moment. It was part of the UX change that we didn't implement. So you don't need to input that. So just be aware that that is an irrelevant piece of information. So don't worry about it. With an automated connection, we are going to automatically pull out the vendor name, the date, the total amount instantaneously. So there's no OCR going on here. It's a direct feed from the portal itself. So that'll be pulled in straight away. From there, you can set up the currency and also the taxes on it. Now, for this Telstra document, for example, you can see that it's got a taxable and non-taxable component to it. So $13.64 is obviously not the GST on $379. So what you would do for this is you would click extracted amount there. And then from extracted amount, all you need to do is just type in the GST. And we're going to apply the GST on expenses 10% and GST free on expenses 0%. And then just select your chart of account that you want this to be coded to and click generate line items. From there, you can then go ahead and select a different chart of account if they were separate, and then click Save and Close. Once you've done that, you'll be able to see that this has been created with the two line items there. You can edit those down here if you wanted to. And then you can set up your rules on how you want to publish this across to Xero. So whether it's publishing across as a purchase, a spend money, a credit note, etc. So you also can select draft or authorized or the bank account if it is a spend money transaction. So we do give you the bank account option there as well. Please be aware that you do need to select an account if you publish across as a spend money. So what we generally recommend doing is publishing across as the purchase and either choosing draft or authorized. And then once that has been approved in Xero, then Xero will do the matching for you and select which account that purchase came from. We also bring in your contacts list from Xero. Now, just be aware that there may be a double up here. So it looks like we've got two vendor names. So we've got a vendor name down here, and we've got a vendor name up here. We do need both of these. The reason being is because this vendor name here is for filing and rule purposes in Hubdoc. So we work without an accounting ledger. So we do need to apply rules on a vendor basis. So that's why this exists up here. Now, if you do connect Xero, we pull in your chart of accounts there, and we allow you to choose which contact, we pull in your contacts from Xero, which contact you want to apply this transaction to. So that's why there's the two there, so just be aware that we need both of those. And then you can save the configurations and publish that across. Now, when you save the configurations, it means going forward, the next time we fetch a Telstra invoice, we are going to apply those rules on a going forward basis. Now, if you had something like a Bunnings receipt that's always GST on expenses 10%, then you can set the GST on 10% rule there. So going up here, GST on expenses 10%, and then you can also auto sync it. So what that means is when a document becomes available on the Bunnings portal, we're going to fetch it, we're going to bring it into Hubdoc, we're then going to push it across to Xero using the rules that you've got here, and then Xero is going to go ahead and match that transaction for you. So it really streamlines that reconciliation process and can bring it down to one click in Xero if you're publishing across as an authorized bill. So just be aware of the capabilities of Hubdoc. Again, you do need this to not change. So if you get a supplier that sometimes they send you through credit notes, sometimes they send you through invoices, we don't recommend auto-syncing those because you will need to change it in Hubdoc before you publish it across. So just be aware of that. Once published across, we are going to create that transaction in Xero. We're going to attach a PDF copy of the invoice as well, automatically audit proofing your client. And as I mentioned, if that transaction is available in the bank feed, Xero will match that for you as well. Fantastic. So internet is going a little bit slow today, but that is a PDF copy of that Telstra invoice that you'll be able to see if you were publishing across transactions to Xero. Fantastic. Now, coming back into Hubdoc, what we're going to do now is we're going to walk through all of the settings on how to get all this set up. So we've walked through the process of getting documents either from paper or from our portal into Hubdoc and getting those across to Xero. But how do we actually set all this up? So this is done through the accounts page. So click on accounts there, and to set up Xero or QBO, they're listed in the destinations tab. So up the top here, click on destinations and you'll see that Xero and QBO are both listed there. Now when you click connect, you're going to be connected to, you're going to select the client that you want to connect that Xero account to, or if it is for your practice, then select your admin account in Xero. And once connected, make sure you click this publish tax data. This is really important because what that's going to do is it's going to bring in your tax rates from Xero and allow you to use that extracted amount calculator where we apply the default rate and the default tax exempt rate for you automatically. Now with Xero, we do allow you to push to Xero files. So what Xero files is it's that folder up here, and it stores all of your documents in Xero that aren't attached to a transaction. So Xero has conveniently logged me out, but we'll go back in there and we'll show you what the Xero files is. So if you have all your documents stored, so you can see I have no documents in Xero files. I do have a couple in my Hubdoc, so you can see there. Those documents are stored there. Now I can add these documents to a transaction later on if I wanted to, or I can just store them here for filing purposes. So say bank statements, for example. If you want all your clients' documents in Xero, then what you could do is you could push to Xero files, and then on the edit data bar down the bottom, you will see that the Xero files option that is there, and you can publish those across. For something like your Telstra bill, for example, you wouldn't want it to go just to Xero files because you would want us to create the transaction and attach the source document for you. So for that, you would use the ordinary Xero integration there. Perfect. If there's any questions about that, just post those in the question box in the GoToWebinar panel. Fantastic. Same process for QuickBooks Connect. And then scrolling down, you will see our cloud integrations as well. So the major ones in Australia are Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive. Now I've connected my Dropbox account here, so you can see the Dropbox is connected with all of my Telstra documents there available for me automatically. Now this just creates data redundancy. We do not want to hijack your data here at Hubdoc. We just want to give you easy access to it. So if you want all your documents stored in Dropbox because that's where you're used to seeing them, then set up the integration and push those across there. So to do it, connect your Dropbox account, then click copy your folder structure from Hubdoc, and that will save our file system. So the filing system you saw on the left hand side by vendor name and by sub account will be copied across to Dropbox, and then we automatically go create a destination folder Hubdoc, which is just in the Dropbox account when you first log in. If you did want it to be in a certain location under a certain client, then you can certainly do that by clicking change and inputting the destination folder there. So you can see there, this folder is actually created in Dylan's Docs, Bookkeeping, Hubdoc. So that means over in Dropbox, you can see there, you've got Home, Dylan's Docs, Bookkeeping, Hubdoc up the top there. So I don't know if you can see that in the URL, but just make sure that that destination folder is named exactly right, and that you use forward slashes to separate the different folders, and that will make sure that you publish across effectively. Now with email forwarding, so if you want to send documents from Hubdoc to an email address, whether that be a unique intake email address of another processing solution or a cloud storage platform, then what you can do is you can input the email address there and click add, and then you can send documents from Hubdoc to an email address. by doing that. Now, if you wanted to automatically forward documents into Hubdoc, you would do that in the browser. So you would do that in the Gmail or the Outlook, and you would set those rules up in the email service provider you're using and select the intake email address as the destination that you want those to be sent to. So documents coming out of Hubdoc to an email address, use the email forwarding integration in the Destinations tab. For documents coming from a supplier into Hubdoc, go into your email and set the rules up there. Perfect. So now coming into the settings. So the settings are in the Profile tab. So just remember to get back to this window, you'd click Accounts, come to the Profile tab, and now this is what I was saying before about your first client account. So when you add your first client account, these pieces of information won't be populated automatically. So you would need to go back to the organizations page, toggle into their account, go to the Profile tab there, input their first name, last name, company name, their base currency if it's not already AUD, and most definitely the date format if it's in the North American format. So sometimes it comes in as month, day, year. That's unfortunately because we are Canadian. I am the only Aussie in the company currently. So I get your frustration when they pull it out wrong. But if you want it to come in as day, month, year, which is what we're used to here, then just change that there. Fantastic. Now, if you want to change the password, you'd be able to do that there. And then coming down, this is where you can change the intake email address. So I don't know if you've noticed on your accounts, but the email address that we set up on the add receipt, so when you click add receipt and you look at this submit by email, the first time you sign in, we will create a default unique intake email. Now, it's not exactly pretty, so if you wanted to change that, if you're happy to save it, that's fine, but if you wanted to change that, you would do that in the Profile tab. So again, Accounts, Profile, scroll down, and then under Upload Files via Email, click the Edit button, and then you could go ahead and input the unique intake prefix. So the prefix is going to be before the @app.hubdoc.com. And just a key note, remember the @app. So if you just do @hubdoc.com, it will come through to our general support email address, and we will be sending you a note saying, did you forget the @app in your unique intake email address when you sent those documents in. So just be careful of that if you are sending that out to suppliers, to make sure you get that right and that unique intake email address is correct. Fantastic. Now, the option to always create a document from the body of the email is this checkbox here. So the way the rules around emails that come in is the first thing Hubdoc's going to do is it's going to check if there's a PDF document there. Now, if there's a PDF document attached to the email, that's the document we're going to extract. If there's not, then we'll check the body of the email address, and whatever is in the body of the email address, that's what we're going to extract. Now, if you had a situation where there was a PDF attachment and something in the body of the email address that you wanted extracted, and this was consistently happening, then what you can do is you can click always create a document from the email body, and then that will always create a document from both the body of the email and the PDF, regardless of whether there's an attachment or not. Now, data extraction. So if you're sending in documents via the mobile app or the email, and they're not going to the processing, they're going straight to archive. So they're going straight to the archive tab with the green tick next to it. Come into this Profile tab and make sure this tick box is selected. So if it isn't, select it, and that will turn on data extraction for you, and make sure it goes into the OCR queue in the processing tab. Now, another reason you may want to turn it off is because if you have a client that, say, hasn't done their bookkeeping for the last 12 months and has more than 300 documents you want to upload in one hit, then we don't actually allow you to go over that. So we only allow 300 documents per client per day as a fair use policy. It's not really it's not really like a tiered model where we allow you to upload more and charge you more. We want to be a nice flat price to help you move to fixed pricing. So we do cap it at 300 just to make it fair on everybody and make sure that your clients aren't taking up all of our OCR space. So if you have more than 300 documents coming in, then you could turn this off and then manually extract the information from those additional documents after the 300th one. Now, just remember, after you've finished uploading all those documents and you're back to just doing a normal amount, then come back in here and turn that back on. Because if you forget, we are not going to put those in the OCR queue for you. Now we do connect to ScanSnap, so if anyone wants any information and does use a ScanSnap printer and wants to know how to do that, then please let us know in the chat box. We can follow up with you after that and we can set up some time to walk you through how to do that. And then invite users to access your account. So this is if your clients wanted to pay for themselves, they certainly could. And then what you can do is they can add you as a collaborator. So your client would log into their Hubdoc account and they would add you as a collaborator, and that would give you access on the organization's page there. You automatically get access and that automatically added as a collaborator if you are paying for your client's account. So it's only if your client pays for themselves. Now, the profile tab is also where you can delete the account. So if you have a client that you need to delete their account, you can do that there. Only the person paying for the account has the ability to delete it, so just be aware of that. And then in terms of deleting an account, if you delete the account, all of the information in Hubdoc will be lost. Now, alternatively, you can downgrade the account to a non-paying state. Now, if you are paying for your clients, it means you won't be able to see it on your organization's page, but they could go in and re-add you as a collaborator if you wanted access later. And then all of the documents in an account in non-paying state will remain there. So we actually give you unlimited cloud storage for life as a freebie. We're just not going to extract information from new documents coming in, and we don't allow you to publish documents across to Xero or anything else. Fantastic. Now we've gone through the hide accounts tab. Now the final one is manage accounts, and this is where we set up account level rules like I've alluded to a couple of times here. Now, manual accounts is for both automated accounts and manual accounts. Manual accounts is the one I'm going to focus on because this is the one where you sometimes come across interesting issues. So by interesting issues, I mean, if you look at Apple, for example, you can see there that we've created a vendor called Apple, but we've also created a vendor called Apple Broadway. Now, this is because that Apple document you saw that came into Hubdoc in the review tab there was actually uploaded from Apple Broadway. So sometimes the OCR is going to pull it out as Apple, sometimes it's going to pull it out as Apple Broadway. Some instances it might pull it out as Apple Pty Ltd. So just be aware that the OCR, although it is something we're working on and something we're investing very heavily in to get machine learning in place, hasn't currently worked out how to pull out the correct amount based on what you tell it to just yet. So to get around that, what you would do is you would come into accounts, you'd go into manage accounts, and then you'd click the manual accounts tab for the OCR documents. And what you would do is you would set up rules based on the vendor name. So the first one being Apple, we want to make sure that it goes to the right location. So as you can see here, the location has changed to that new location that I dragged that folder into. So it's now pointing to work expenses. So that's perfect. So then from there, I'm going to choose that location, and then I'm going to configure rules for Xero for Apple. So you can see there, I want it to go to purchase, GST on expenses, office expenses, and the contact name Apple. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to go click save. So that's perfect. All that information has been saved for Apple. Now for Apple Broadway, I want to do the same thing. So I'm going to set the rules up as if it was Apple. So I want to put it in the Apple folder. So I don't want to create a new folder because there will be an Apple Broadway folder created initially. I don't want it to go there. I want it to go to the Apple folder. So what I would do is I would point it to the Apple folder, click select. I would then go down and configure rules just as if it was Apple, and then I would go save. And then what I would do is I'd come in here. If the Apple Broadway folder was here, I'd go into the Apple Broadway folder and I'd drag the document from the Apple Broadway folder into the Apple folder to make sure that we don't delete those. And then I'd go ahead and delete the Apple Broadway folder. So hopefully that makes sense. If you are having issues with multiple vendors being named and you're not 100% confident with this workflow, please shoot us a question in the chat box in the GoToWebinar panel, and I'll follow up with you after this call and we can set up some time to go through that. Fantastic. Alrighty, coming back to the accounts and going manage accounts. Now, if you have a client that you've just onboarded and they've taken photos of 40 receipts and they've got all of these different, they've got all of Apple come in, they've got, 20 Apple receipts come in, or they've got 20 Kohl's receipts come in, for example. You don't want to have to go through and set those rules up for 0 every single time. So what you would do is you would come in here to the account level rules and set the rules up on an account level. So not over there in the document on the right hand side in the edit data bar. Come into here, set it up at the account level, and then click save. And what that's going to do is it's going to apply those same rules to all of the documents that haven't been published across to 0 for that supplier. So it's great if you're doing an onboarding job and you've got a whole heap of new vendors in here that you need to set up rules for. Come in and do it at the account level to make sure those rules are applied to everything. Now, another thing to note here is a red flag that can appear. So this actually has a couple of red flags that I want to bring to your attention. Now, that is that we've set up auto sync for Dropbox. So you can see that Dropbox has been ticked there, and we've auto synced all of these documents across to Dropbox. But what we haven't done is we haven't set up account level rules for, say, 7-Eleven for 0. So what that means is when a document is extracted from 7-Eleven, we're going to only assume that the only place you want to put it is Dropbox, and we're going to archive it for you. So it's actually going to skip the review tab without going to 0. So it's going to miss that review and be an archive without actually being published across to 0. So what I recommend doing is if you are going to auto sync everything, make sure when you click that every single line that has a tick here next to, say, Dropbox or next to any of whatever cloud storage platform you're using also has a tick here under 0. So you can do that by clicking on the cross and going here and going configure rules for 0 and setting up the rules there and then clicking save at the bottom. And then what will happen is this will also end up being ticked, and then that is not a red flag anymore. So you can see there the BAS Q3 FY16, client contract, client estate, etc. don't have rules for 0, but are being published across the Dropbox. That's perfect for these ones because we don't want them to go to 0 because they are non-financial documents. Let's say Dulux, for example, we do want those to go across to 0, so make sure you set up those account level rules there. Again, if any of that's confusing, post the question in the chat box, let me know, and we can go through it a little bit slower. Fantastic. Now, that is account level rules. The other things you can do in here is you can also auto sync to 0 files. You can auto sync to email addresses or Dropbox here as well. And then finally, you can turn off the notifications here. So we're going to send you an email every time a new document is available in Hubdoc. If you wanted to turn that off, then you would come into the account level settings here and turn that off. In terms of automated accounts, we also have those same account level settings that I just showed you. Now, with an automated connection, there's a couple of extra things that may happen. So if we connect to something and we're flagging an error here, sometimes it's just like, when you open a bad email, a bad web page, and you just need to click refresh on the browser and it brings up the web page. Sometimes that happens with our connections as well, happens across all software. So if you do need to refresh it, just go here and click update accounts and that'll refresh the connection for you. Now, if it is still throwing back an error, then let us know. So report a problem and that'll submit a ticket to us and we'll get back to you within an hour, either with a solution or we'll let you know when it will be resolved. So we'll get in touch, we'll let you know if it's been escalated to our developers and when you can expect another reply from us, either giving you an update or letting you know that it's been fixed. Now, if your clients change their credentials on the portal, like I mentioned, we will flag it on the organizations page, but we'll also allow you to edit the credentials here. So if it's saying that the credentials do need to be updated, then you can edit credentials here and re-input the credentials in Hubdoc so that you can fetch those documents going forward. If you no longer need an account, you can also delete an account there. Also, in terms of deleting accounts, if you do have a problem with the connection and want us to look at it, Don't delete it and leave it there. Make sure that it stays in the account, and that allows us to investigate that issue going forward. Fantastic. So now I'm just going to take a few moments to let you ask any questions that may have come up or that you can think of throughout the webinar, and post those in the question box, and we'll get to those straight away. And if not, then we will wrap up for the day. Perfect. Seems like I've covered everything, but if there are any questions that pop up, then send us an email at support@hubdoc.com.au, or in the app, you can just go up here, click on the client's name or your name, and go submit a ticket, and that will also send us through an email to our support inbox. So we'll get back to you within an hour if it is during working hours. Otherwise, if it's after hours, just be aware we will get back to you. It just may not be within the hour. But we do pride ourselves on a fantastic support team, so you'll definitely hear back from us within a very reasonable amount of time. So fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope you've got something out of this, that you've learned a new tip or trick, or there's an issue that we've been able to resolve for you on the call, or a question that we've answered for you on the call. So if you wanted to reach us, I did mention that you can email us at support@hubdoc.com.au. If you'd prefer to call us, then you can call us at 0874445026, and we'll be able to get back to you there as well. So I'll leave you all to have a great afternoon. If there are any questions, feel free to reach out, fetch those documents, get them into Hubdoc, and streamline your workflows. Thanks, guys, and have a great week.